So in this video we'll explore the useEffect hook, one of the most popular hook in React. So in that what we'll cover, we'll learn how useEffect helps to manage side effect in functional component, and then I'll show you a practical example like updating the document title and cleaning up the effect when component is unmounted. So let's get started. So let's understand what is useEffect. The useEffect hook that allows functional components to handle side effects like data fetching, DOM updating, and subscriptions. Something that was previously only possible in the class-based component using the lifecycle methods. So with the help of this useEffect, now in the functional component, we can handle the side effect, or with the help of this lifecycle methods. So in the previously class-based component, there are a couple of lifecycle methods that component did mount, component will did update. So with the help of these methods, we can handle the rendering or mounting the component like a component in the lifecycle. But this is not happen in the functional component. So with the help of this useEffect hook, we can achieve this updating or rendering component with the help of this useEffect in functional component. So let's understand the basic syntax of the useEffect. So this is the basic syntax of useEffect once we use the useEffect hook in functional component. So then understand how it replaces class component in lifecycle method. So in class component we use mostly for once the component is loaded, then we know the component did mount method is called and it renders only once at the once the component is loaded. So now component did mount is replaced once runs with a useEffect with this empty arrow in the functional component. Then component did update also updates or replace in the functional component with the help of this useEffect. So in that what happens once we use the useEffect, and at the second argument we have to put the variable. Once the variable is updated, then and then only it will update the component. So with the help of this useEffect we can achieve this scenario. And then the last one is component will unmount. So in class-based component we straightly use this component will unmount method, but in class-based components we simply use to unmount the component that will use this method or the function that is component will unmount we use, and then once we move from one component to another component, it will automatically clean up the previously loaded data in the last component. Functional component, inside the useEffect we can return additional argument, and then it will clean up that component once we move from one component to another component. So now let's quickly jump into VS Code and see a practical example of how useEffect works. In the previous video we created a counter component using functional based component. We'll use the same example and integrate the useEffect to understand its behavior. First we'll import the useEffect hook and start by logging a message in console to see how component renders when we click the button. Then we'll explore the different use cases of useEffect. So let's get started. So let's head over to VS Code and check it out. So in last video we created this component, so we'll take the same example to check how it useEffect works. So in previous video we understand how this use state work in the functional component. So now it's time for useEffect. So what I will do, let's import the useEffect hook, and then let's understand how it works once the component is rendered. Then I will just paste the console.log, and then we'll just print the count. Because in previous video we already printed the count. So let's save this. So let's quickly go to the browser and see how it works. So I have opened the console.log. So if you see, initially the logs is not printed, but if I click on the increment button, it will automatically render the component, and I think console.log will print it. So if you see, the component is rendered and the count is increasing automatically. The once we count is increasing, it also printed the console.log, which means the component is rendering whenever we click on the increment button. So in this way this use effect works. So now let's take another example. So in class-based component, once we use this component did mount, it only renders once when the component is initialized. So for that, in this use effect, we have to pass the second argument as an empty array. Once we use this empty array, it will render only once the component is loaded. So let's and let's see how it works. So let's quickly go to the browser and see how this works. So if you see, it only render the components once the component is loaded. So if I click on the increment button, now it will not print the console. Counter count is increasing, but the console is not printing because we restrict. So we added we use this use effect like component did mount. It will not increase the count or it will not print the console.log. So it works like the component did mount. So it only renders once. So it only renders once the component is rendered or component is loaded. So now quickly take another example. So what we'll do, will once this counter is then and then only we'll render this use effect. So for that we have to pass the argument. Once the count is increased, then and then only it will render. So it will work like the component did update method. So in component did update, what we do, we pass some arguments to that function, and we set values. So if the value is updated, then and then only we can update the component. So likewise, in this use effect, we have to pass the argument array. Once the component is updated, then and then only we can render the component. So likewise, we can use this second argument. So in the empty array, we pass the additional argument, which is count. So let's quickly again go to the, let's save this file and go to the browser one more time. Let's clear this, and let's click on the counter. If you see, it is also printing. So it work like a component did update. So once the counter is increasing, then and then only it will print the console.log. So in this way you can update or restrict the component when the value of the variable is changed or the state is changed to that component. So in this way you can use this use effect to handle the component did mount and component did update. So now let's understand how we can use the component will unmount. So in that, just in this same use effect, we have to just enter the additional return, and then we just need to pass some value, or we'll just enter the or print the console.log and mount it. And let's save, and let's go quickly and see on the browser how it works. Let's reload this, and if you see, initially the component is mounted and then it is unmounted. So if you see, the console is printed. So if I increase the count, it will first update the state of the variable, and it also clear the value or unmounting the value. So in this way you can achieve this unmounting also with the help of this use effect. A common mistake that many developers make while using the use effect, the common issue is forgot to add this additional argument. So if we use the use effect, couple of developer will forget to add this additional argument, that is empty array, or if we you put the variable in that empty array. So what happens, the effect will run after every render, causing the unnecessary updates once we forgot to add this additional argument. To control this behavior, we should always provide a appropriate dependency array like this. So for running the effect only once the component is mounted. For running the effect when a specific, or we can put the specific variable. So once the count is updated, then and then only we can update the effect or use the effect. So like that, for running the effect when a specific variable changes, then and then only you can update the component. The most commonly mistake that developer do, that is this one. So that's all about the use effect. It's a powerful and commonly used hook in React that helps manage side effects efficiently. By using this, we can control components mounting, updating and unmounting behavior easily. In the next video, we'll explore another important hook, useRef. So we'll see how it works, where it can be useful in React. So if you found this video very helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to support the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a wonderful day. Thank you.